going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy, Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. No news on the Washington front today, so today I decided to do a little retrospective video to talk about one of the kryptonites that has plagued this organization for the majority of the 2000s era of Washington Redskins football team, Commanders football. That sentence was a mouthful. I'm sorry. But I want to talk about the second round of the draft for this team and why we should be fucking banned from selecting in the second round of the NFL draft, because it's been an abstract disaster for the majority of my lifetime as a fan here. And we haven't had a guy that we selected in the second round get a second contract here since Liddell Betts, who hasn't played for Washington since the early 2000s. That round is a disaster for us, and we're going to get into that. Thank you to the Washington Commanders for sending me my game ball for being a fan ambassador for the 2022 season. I just got that in today. It's beautiful. Love the font. Love it. Inaugural season game ball. Thank you to Joey Kobe Begovic for starting the fan ambassador program. Hopefully we can get more going on that front and more fan involvement going forward as the franchise continues until another transition, as new ownership is going to be taking way here. But let's talk about Washington and the second round of the NFL draft. To some of you, you may say, what? Like, our second round picks aren't that bad. What are you talking about? Dude, we haven't had one swing in a double in a very long time. Like, the last second round pick that was a surefire hit, if you want to call it that, was Preston Smith. And we drafted him 8 years ago in 2015. And he got about 24 and a half sacks during his 4-year tenure here. And he got his money elsewhere, moved on to the Green Bay Packers. That's the closest thing we've had to a surefire hit in the second round. So let's take it back year by year and talk about these picks. I'm talking, we've had players that quit playing football, guys who stopped showing up to the building. We've had a fullback playing edge rusher. We've had a crown jewel in the community turned menace in Darius. Man, let's walk back these second round picks over the years so we can talk about it for a second. 2022, the jury's still out on this one because we haven't seen him play other than 2 possessions to start the game. It was a surprise pick. If you remember my reaction when we made this pick during the draft last year, I was heated. I was hot because I'm like, what the hell are we taking a defensive tackle for with our second round pick, which seemed like the surefire indicator that we would be moving on from Daron Payne, and this was Daron Payne insurance. Turns out that was not the case, so that pick is looking even funnier in the light. I think the pick made sense in a way after I got to digest it and let it marinate for a little bit. He was Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis insurance. He was the replacement for what they brought to the team. But in the light, that pick's looking crazy. And then he happened to get a season-ending meniscus tear on the 3rd possession of a game he looked good in week 1 last year. So remember how I told you every single second-round pick, there's been issues? Every single one. Injury issue, year 1. Let's go back to 2021. Sam Cosmi, the most athletic tackle, right tackle in that draft. Solid guy. Started rough. He was getting his ass beat by Sweat and Chase in training camp. Then he ended up looking like he was one of the more solid linemen on the team. And when he does play, he looks pretty solid. He doesn't look bad at all. He doesn't look great. He looks like a solid, consistent starter. Problem is, he misses a ton of games every year, and he's always on the injury report. So last 2 second-round picks, season-ending injury. Sam Cosmi has missed multiple games in both years as a pro so far. 2020, thank goodness there was no second-round pick because of what we did in the 2019 draft. Let's take it back to the Chase Young draft of 2019. I mean, no, not the Chase Young draft. 2020 was the Chase Young draft. 2019 was the draft, the Dan stepping off the yacht to make the draft pick draft, in which we took Dwayne Haskins with the 15th pick of the draft, which made Kyle Smith and the football people who spend 365 days a year scouting players want to vomit, and had Kyle Smith standing up on a table in the draft room. So to appease the football people and say, here's you guys' reward for doing your job, we packaged our second from that draft. We packaged it with the next year, the Chase Young class second round pick, and we got Montez Sweat in the first round to go with Haskins in the 2019 draft. And that is a formula I would love to see us repeat, because all of the swings and misses, trials and tribulations this team has put me through with second round picks, I don't even want to see us on the board in the second round anymore. I'm either trade back into the first and get that fifth year option on a player of value, or trade back into the third round, pick up multiple picks, flip the second round pick into multiple day 3 picks, because I'm frightened. I have second round draft pick PTSD at this point. And it stems hugely from a guy like the guy we took in 2018, Darius Geis out of LSU. There was a big conversation and infighting faction, the thing we do, the Civil War style Captain America versus Iron Man shit that we do in this fan base, like we're currently doing with Lamar Jackson versus Sam Howell. That was the conversation during draft season in 2018. If you remember it, it was Payne and Vea or Darius Geis, because we ended up taking him in the second round because of these character issues and things that happened on his draft visits in Philly, ended up pushing him back. But fans, including myself, we wanted Darius Geis in the first round of the draft in 2018. A good portion of the fan base wanted him in the first round. He was a surefire, supposedly top 25 running back pick in that draft. We wanted him in the top 15. We ended up trading back in the second round that year, and I remember everybody going off, including me. What are we doing? Why don't we just take Darius Geis? And we ended up getting him on the trade back in the second round. And we're sitting here like, oh my God, the league done messed up, like Dwayne Haskins said. How could they let Darius Geis fall to us? And it turns out that there was a reason for it, but we wouldn't know. Darius Geis, a guy I spent time around. He used to mingle and hold events with fans. I went bowling. I went to see a movie with him and Gruden's kid. Like, they was cool peoples, and he sure had the entire fan base fooled, because it turns out there was a laundry list of predatorial and abusive behavior that stemmed from Darius Geis. So he had us led astray, bamboozled, ran amok, the whole nine that Malcolm said. Darius Geis had us that. And not on top of that, he had a season-ending injury after a bulldozing Kyle Brandt-style angry run in a preseason game. Literally, we saw a glimpse of what he could be, and we never saw that boy again. Every time we seen him, it looked good. Y'all remember the game? The only reason Ron Rivera is here as a coach is because what Darius Geis did to the Carolina Panthers. We went up to Carolina that season, but 2 serious knee injuries and allegations off the field, bad character, predatorial behavior. Darius Geis ended up only seeing 245 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in his career. So chalk it up to another one, DJ Khaled style, another second round miss. Let's take it back to a year before that. Ryan Anderson, linebacker, Alabama. What are we doing here, guys? We tried to, as fans, make this pick make sense. Oh, he went to Alabama, he's slept on. Let's keep it real. This is a fullback body boy we had playing edge, man. He had no business being drafted in the second round of the NFL draft. What the hell were we even doing, bro? Like, what were we even doing? Like, this is not a guy who could get to the quarterback. He's not a guy with the athleticism to play off the ball. 6 career sacks. I don't really need to go into it more, but this is a dude who looks like a fullback and about 3 meals away from being a defensive tackle. We had playing edge rusher, and then we experimented playing off-ball backer that we took in the second round of the draft, and complete failure. No need to even delve even further into details about it. Let's take it back to 2016. 2016, this guy is a rare case. Sua Cravens, the safety linebacker, Buffalo nickel style hybrid guy that we took out of USC, Southern California. A guy that we clearly did no homework on his off the field antics or love for the game, because this is a dude who just stopped showing up to practice. I mean, this is a dude who just stopped. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to play football anymore. He just lost his desire to play and tried to blame it on the team and gaslight fans to believe this was on the team for some reason. We saw that Giants game where he made the diving pick, and we thought he was going to be the next coming of Sean Taylor. Shame on all of us. There were fans actually protesting with him, saying that he should wear the number 21 for the team. He should wear Sean's jersey. We all should be fucking ashamed of ourselves. He ended up wearing 36, which was the number Sean Taylor started with when he got drafted out of Miami. But absolute disaster pick, was out of the league in 3 years. Bum, attention whore, social media star, not a good football player. Another second round pick in the books. Now to 2015. So you get what I'm saying now. We've now went back from 2022 to 2016, and there is not one goddamn hit in the second round on this team. We've hit some in the first, and we've hit a bunch in the mid round. We ain't hit on one second round pick yet. Ding, ding, ding. Come on down. 2015 second round pick, the Mississippi State Bulldog, Preston Smith. The only second round hit these motherfuckers have found in the last decade. And he didn't even get a second contract with the team. He ended up getting his money from Green Bay. He had about 25 sacks in his 4 years here with Washington, has about 60 on his career right now, having a very solid career. Wasn't a first round pick, so I would say he's achieving what he was sought out to be as a second round edge rusher. The only hit we had, that pairing of Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith, were the most productive pairing of pass rushers we've seen in a very long time here. We've dreamed about what Montez Sweat and Chase Young could be, and we keep scratching the surface on the word potential, but potential is a word that gets people fired because a lot of the time guys never get to it. So Preston Smith, you were a good pick, my friend. You didn't end up getting that long-term deal done, but you got your money elsewhere. I'm happy for you. You found greener pastures. Get your money, keep balling out. The only second round pick we've hit on in the last 8 years. 2014, Trent Murphy, Stanford. Most people had no idea who this was when we drafted him. And I never thought that this was going to be like some guys you can just look. This is stupid. But I mean, because the guy, he was built compactly. He looked like a guy that could make an impact. Didn't have a high motor. Didn't have great bend or great athleticism. Nor was he some skilled technician in the edge rush game. So I'm not really sure what we expected to get out of Trent Murphy. Jag, just a guy. Looks like the kind of guy that makes the end of rosters and barely makes it. He's one of those guys that sweats on cut down day. One of those guys that the camera pans to for the majority of the show on the Hard Knocks episode when the team has to make cuts. Never thought Trent Murphy was going to be a guy. 2013, David Amerson, cornerback, NC State. Long corner out of NC State. He had led the nation in turnovers from his 2011 tape. And we thought we had the next guy. We thought we had an absolute turnover machine. And it ended up, the biggest highlight of his career ended up being versus Washington in FedEx Field, when bum-ass Josh Doxson mossed him and put his nuts on his back on Sunday Night Football when we whooped the Raiders' ass that one time. That's ended up being the highlight of his career. 2012, y'all know the draft. We got RG3, so there was no second round pick. There was no second round pick, and it was worth it. We got that one season. We had that one season of glory with Bobby Three Sticks, and now he's working for ESPN 10 years later and delusionally believing he's going to be a part of the next ownership group when he doesn't realize that 1% of the team cost $60 million and he never made that for a career. But we don't need to go there. That's not here or there. 2011, Jarvis Jenkins, Clemson. Trash. Moving on. 2009 and 2010, we did not have a second round pick, but we can go back to 2008. And that is as far as I'm going to go because 15 years of shit second round picks is as far as this conversation needs to go. But 2008 is the pinnacle of why Washington has no business making selections during the second round of the draft. It doesn't matter who the talent evaluator, who the pundit, who the front office staff is. We never seem to get it right in this round. And 2008 was the magnum opus, the Mona Lisa of our second round failures. We had 3 picks in the second round that year. I've never seen a team manage to have 3 swings this early in the draft and none of them really work out. You had one semi-productive guy who had no work ethic and 2 absolute trash cans at wide receiver. Sleepy Fred Davis was the tight end. Malcolm Kelly and Devin Thomas were the 2 receivers. Silly old me, I remember my MySpace post at the time. Yes, MySpace. I'm a dinosaur at this point. My MySpace post, I remember I had a little collage made with Jason Campbell, Clinton Portis, and Devin Thomas, Fred Davis, and Malcolm Kelly. Young Rio, you were an idiot because that shit was an abstract disaster. Devin Thomas and Malcolm Kelly combined for 800 career yards and 3 combined touchdowns between the 2. Fred Davis was productive-ish, but Fred Davis was here for the life. He was a pro football player to be a pro football player for the celebrity of it. We called him Sleepy Davis because this is a guy that was late to his first few days of training camp because he was sleeping in the dorms at the training camp facility. 3 swings, 3 misses. 15 years of draft picks from 2023 to 2008 in the second round. 0 of these players got a second contract. You catch my drift? You're starting to catch my drift now, right? This isn't some fan-made bullshit rant that I just decided to make because there's nothing to talk about. This team is historically bad at picking in the second round, and it's to the point that if they miss again, or Fedarius Mathis ends up sucking and Sam Cosmi's off the team in a year or 2, then the league should sanction us and take our second round picks away from us like they took the Dolphins pick away for tampering with Tom Brady, because Liddell Betts was the last second round pick that we've had to get a second contract. We drafted Liddell Betts in 2002. That was 21 years ago. He's the last second round pick to get a second contract. Then there's names like Taylor Jacobs, Rocky McIntosh. The list goes on, and it's full of Jags, projects, guys that don't want to play, guys that we thought wanted to play, guys that want to hang out with fans and pretend to be a beacon of the community that end up being predators, and guys that do not want to play football. We've seen every single way that you could possibly screw up a second round pick, and I'm gonna have PTSD every time we're on the clock and Roger Goodell says the Washington Commanders are on the clock when the second round and night 2 of the draft start. Guys, move into the end of the first round and get that 5th-year contract, or move your ass back and get a bunch of picks for day 3, because I don't even want to mess with the second round at this point. Get us a corner and a lineman in the first round. Get us, I don't even care what the combination is. Whatever your two guys that you're in love with that you think we can get on night one of the draft, get the hell out of the second round, get back into the first round, and let's make it happen. But that's all I got for right now. Washington, let's get this shit right if we're actually making a pick in the second round this year. No projects, no Jags, no guys with character concern. Can we get a surefire baller? Please? Can we get a guy that I can look at during this rookie year and say, wow, he's going to get a second contract here? Would be lovely. Let's see if we can change the tide this year. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Rio, out.